What if I told you that most of your blog posts are actually working against you? Let's look at a typical blog structure. The model with blogging for a long time was create a lot of content, and every single blog post that you write is an opportunity to get traffic organically from search. And every single one of those posts was sort of the end goal most of the time. Now, obviously, a lot of the time we wanted to try to get people to read another blog post, right? Internal linking was always something that we taught. And calls to action, pointing people toward a lead magnet, all that stuff. But for the most part, we could make a great income with just ads on a website, some affiliate links in our blog posts, and a ton of content getting us tens and even hundreds of thousands of views to our articles every single month. But that's changed. The numbers are way lower now. The actual number of people getting through search and landing on our websites is so much lower. So when we look at our blogs with sometimes hundreds of blog posts, the question is, where are those blog posts leading? So now let's learn how to turn that blog clutter into a funnel that actually grows your business. Most likely, you've already done the hardest part. You created the content. Now let's make that content work harder for you. This is actually going to be the first video in a series of videos that are going to walk you through how you can use the existing content that you probably already have on your website to be able to optimize that website and make that website do so much more, even with substantially less traffic than what we used to be able to get to our sites. I mean, let's be honest, this is what confusion looks like. I mean, I've got an email opt-in here, but why would I opt in for that? I just came here with a simple question. And then I get to the bottom of the post and it's like, well, here's 3 more posts you could read. And then I get even further down, oh, and here's some more, and more, and more. Because more options is always clearer, right? It's even better when you get a site with a navigation menu with huge drop downs with tens and sometimes substantially more than 10 different things that you can click on. It's too confusing. Let's keep our website simple. In fact, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I would say that a one-page website is probably going to perform a lot better in every metric, especially the metric of making you the most money, than most of our overcomplicated websites with huge amounts of blog content. Now, that doesn't mean get rid of all your blog content, but there is something we can learn from the concept of the one-page website, which I'm not going to bury the lead here. The biggest thing that we can learn is how to simplify what we're offering and hone in on exactly what it is that we can give to people. What is it that you have? What is it that your business can do? Now, you may not have an offering yet. If you came into this from the blogging side, you may still have a mindset of, I'm gonna make money from ads and affiliate marketing. But that's probably not gonna work anymore. You need to think of this as a real business, and what is it that you have to offer? If you can think that way, then we can hone in on something very specific. And we can learn from the one-page websites, which are basically just a landing page for a giant lead magnet. But the cool thing is, if you do come to this from blogging and you have a bunch of content on your website, we can use that. So we're gonna start by trying to figure out what content is actually still driving traffic, because chances are, you're still getting some organic traffic to your website. And even if it's not all organic, maybe some of it's being driven by social media or by links from other websites. If there are pages on your website that are consistently bringing in traffic, we can work with that. For that, we're gonna go to analytics. I know everybody basically hates Google Analytics 4. It's been out for a few years now, but we still hate it. So we're gonna go to your analytics, we're gonna go to reports. We are going to go to engagement, pages and screens. Now on here, we're gonna be able to see what are the top pages on the website. This page here in the last 4 weeks has brought in 114 people, or at least got 114 views, 96 different people. Now that's not a lot. I mean, it used to be that if a blog post was getting fewer than about 500 page views a month, it was really underperforming. And we were shooting for 1,000 to 2,000 page views per article. Now the best post on this website gets 96. It's not great, but those are 96 people who made it past AI, who made it past the easy answer and read the article anyway. They're more qualified viewers than what we were getting before. And so they're more likely to convert to something more. They're more likely to be looking for something deeper. And so if I can take this particular blog post and I can optimize it to capture that lead, then I can move people through a funnel. It's a lot like Ikea. Ikea knows how to do this. See, Ikea knows what they're doing. When you walk into the store, it's like there's only one way to go, right? You land at the front door, it's the one way in, right? And you know exactly where to go. And you just follow that path. And you gotta go through the whole dang store to get to the end to buy anything. And once you've made it all the way through this store, the odds that you make it out without actually getting sold on something that you saw in one of these many showrooms is very, very slim. But here's the thing. You go into these showrooms and you think, well, this isn't quite what I needed, but this is really interesting. That's pretty cool. And then you go and you know exactly where to go next. Ikea shows you exactly where to go. They've even got the arrows on the dang floor and you got these pathways. It's really, really clear where to go. And you kind of have to proceed forward. Now on your website, you can't force people to stay. It's kind of like if it was Ikea, except people can just be dropped into any room at any point. Like they just show up and all of a sudden, boom, they're here. Right? And so now it's like, what do? Well, let's make it clear. Here's where to go next. And here's the other thing. At any point, they get to here and they're just like, okay, I'm done. I got confused. I don't know where to go next, or I don't want anything more. And boop, they disappear, right? So we need to do a really good job with our arrows, and we need to give people a reason to want to go to the next room. It's like if every room got progressively more interesting and more useful to the customer. And then you have to make it through all the rooms, but once you do, you finally get to the checkout, right? You finally get to the place where you get to actually get your cool stuff. With information with our blog, obviously, we're not trying to hold back on the information, but if throughout the content, we're directing people deeper and deeper into the information that they're looking for, into the resources that they're looking for, we get to a point where a lot of times at the end, we can get them to sign up for an email list, and it's easy. You don't even need a really amazing lead magnet at that point, just something pretty basic, because the information and the resources you've already given them were so helpful, were so valuable. And so at this point, if you just make them a promise of additional really helpful information, if they sign up for your list, they're more likely to sign up. By treating people this way, by treating our readers this way, we're going to convert so much better than we ever have before, which means it doesn't matter that there are fewer people coming in the doors, because a much higher percentage of them are actually going to make it to the checkout and to the food court, because that's half the reason to go to Ikea. Remember, you've already done the hard work. You have a lot of content. You've got all these rooms set up. In fact, you have way too many rooms set up. We don't need most of them. We don't need to steer people through all of them by any means. So what do? We optimize the best ones. And then we're gonna work on consolidating the rest of them to make them more optimal and more likely to actually get traction. We're gonna talk about all of these things in future videos, so you're gonna get kind of a step-by-step. Here's how to revamp your blog. But then in every case, we're gonna point people from each resource to the next valuable resource, to the next, until we get to the lead magnet. Or, in some cases, until we point them right to a product page for something that we have to offer that's going to benefit them. If you can do that, your blog will be incredibly successful. So where do we start? Well, for today, here's what I want you to do. Go to your Google Analytics. I want you to find what are your top 3 pages on your website. And I want you to try to think of ways that you could optimize them to direct people to other resources on your site. Think about what you could do with that content. Use AI, for heaven's sake. Just go to ChatGPT, literally copy and paste the blog post into ChatGPT and ask it, how can I optimize this? Use my voice, use my tone, but help me optimize this to try to direct people toward another resource I have on my site. Or just ask it, what would be a really good resource I could create on my website? Or maybe I have on my website and I just can't piece it together yet. What would be a great resource that would be paired well with this article? What does this set people up for? And let ChatGPT give you a bunch of ideas. In the end, we need every single piece of content on your website to point people in a direction to eventually land them on either a product they can purchase or a way that they can stay engaged with you. Subscribe to your email newsletter or something like that. If you don't do that, it's like having one of these rooms with all these arrows and then boop, there's a dead end. There's nowhere to go. What happens then? Well, because our users can just leave from any room, that's what they're gonna do. They're done. There's nowhere else to go. So which page is it on your website that is maybe secretly your best performing traffic magnet? Go figure that out. And then in the next video in this series, we'll talk about how you can create a really good lead magnet that is actually gonna get people to wanna sign up. And that way you have at least one thing that you could maybe direct people to from every single post and every single page on your site. as you optimize them. Eventually, it's gonna be best if we can work people through a funnel that brings them in a little bit deeper each time. And that way, by the time they get to the lead magnet, they're sold and they want what you have to offer. They want that email that's gonna come from you every week or every month. So as soon as that video is ready, we'll put it here. You're gonna wanna go check out that video to learn how to make a really great lead magnet. We'll also talk about ways that you can use your blog content that you have, even if it's hundreds of pages and most of them you're not gonna end up keeping. Don't get rid of them yet. We wanna keep them. Keep them for now. I'll show you how you can use them to do some really cool stuff. We'll see you in our next video.